Bless the Lord, my soul, and bless God's holy name. Bless the Lord, my soul, who leads me into life.
We need to reorientate our lives towards mission and evangelism. So just one example, at 3 o'clock, many of our alarms will go off and we'll pray for 3 people of peace at 3 o'clock, 3 at 3. That keeps us engaged and intentional and faithful and purposeful about what it is that we're doing.
But we want to build a culture within our community where every single person feels confident and competent in leading people to Christ. Our aim is that everybody within our church community would be able to tell stories of where that's true.
We consider discipleship to be supporting and challenging people on their journey towards Christ, which of course means a journey towards life in all of its fullness. So whilst we're building relationships, we're always trying to point people to Jesus. And as I was preparing this, just this thought that every situation that anyone in our churches face is an opportunity to disciple someone. Any conversation that any of us have is an opportunity to throw in Jesus, to throw in either support or challenge. If discipleship is support and challenge, then we can all do that wherever we are.
What does this grey matrix tell us? Well, first of all, it shows us what's not happening, and that's as important as what is. It shows us that we can't naively think that our messy church that has run for 2 years is on its own going to enable all these people to shoot off the map. But it also shows us something really valuable, that messy church is a bit of a gift to us because people soften, they open, and they become more open to the possibilities of God. And that's certainly what we've seen. It also, on a very basic level, seems to inform people about basic Christian knowledge and information. Will we get any further up? We don't know. The journey will continue.
I think if there was anything that came through, and it's not a new message, but it's the reminder the way in which words and actions have to belong together. We mustn't separate them. And 3 C's that seem to come out were about compassion and competence and confidence.
I think just a feel of that in the Fresh Expressions context, that evangelism has become a much more natural, organic kind of process. The way there's increasingly been this huge paradigm shift in the way we look at evangelism and discipleship, you know, from sort of post-faith thing to pre-faith. And whereas, you know, years ago it was all about sort of invitation and instruction, and then you make a decision. Whereas a lot now about inclusion and involvement, you know, that we're all doing this together. You're included, you're involved.
We'll start a worship service with some of these key young people coming to faith, where there'll be a real focus on quality teaching and on encountering God in one way or another. And we'll use alternative worship, or we might use waiting on the Lord, various different ways to try and help those young people really connect and go deep with God. And what we find is the whole thing goes full circle. Because by the time the young people are coming through to the worship night, they're really going deep with God, they're really finding faith, they're on the path of discipleship. And we end up having a really close relationship with them. And so they're often the best people then to become the leaders who are coming up through sorting. And they often are the best people to go back into the teams on a Friday night so that they become the evangelists to their peers who are coming in at the beginning of sorting. And we find when it gets to that point, it becomes really exciting, because all of a sudden young people coming from the school and they see their peers talking about a prayer that's been answered, or becoming a Christian, or being baptised the other week, and suddenly young people become really, really interested.
So Christ needs to be at the centre of our thinking. Anybody who does any pioneer work, you've got to have the mind of Jesus to help you, to direct you, to help you to not conform to the world around you. Remember chapter 12 of Romans? Don't conform to this world. Don't be squeezed into its own mold. Unfortunately, the mold of the world is always moldy anyway. So don't be conformed, but be renewed within your mind. And again, I want to suggest that if you're going to pioneer anywhere, you need a Christ-like mind to think the way he thinks.
And at Holy Nativity Church, we started with 6 wonderful but elderly people, which over 16 months has steadily grown. But 3 months ago we started Sunday at 4, a new service which is very relevant to that particular community. It's not rocket science stuff, it's just based around food. It has fun, interactive children's work. The gathering is very informal and consists of storytelling or personal testimony, and it gets something like 50 plus people. But discipleship runs alongside everything we do.
And so one of the things that we're finding and learning is that the Fresh Expressions methodology can transform higher education chaplaincy. I think it's true to say that across the UK, higher education chaplaincy has lost its evangelistic edge, it's lost its passion, it's lost its ability to reach people for Jesus for all sorts of reasons. It's lost its nerve. But what we've learned, and what I hope that can be increasingly learned across the sector, is that higher education chaplaincy can be reformed by Fresh Expressions methodology into being cutting edge again for evangelism, so that it's not just in CU groups or fusion cells that people come to faith in Jesus, it's through university chaplaincies that people come to faith. Again, it's something we all know, but that God does the unexpected. There's a whole host of people that we've got contacts with that we're really wanting to come to faith, and the people that come every week are the people that you expect are going to be the ones that come to faith first. But that's not what we're finding. What we're learning is that God just does something completely off the radar and brings somebody from left of field and they come to faith really quickly.
We thought there was a theme of the strategy of multiplication, particularly about growing leaders, multiplying, getting more people involved, something about equipping everybody in Indigenous leadership.
And several of you mentioned how important it is to involve non-Christians in the team, that actually belonging to the team, doing something really worthwhile, made a difference for them.
Questions about resources on time, money and space.
And there was the question, what about traditional church? Surely there's loads that we can learn in traditional church from the stories that we've heard today.
Fresh expressions are inherently messy.
Is the fruit of fresh expressions more amongst the poor and the marginalised?
And just this huge overall positive, isn't it exciting? People are coming to faith. Yeah. There's just that actual real excitement of being here, listening and realising that God's on the move.